Hey everyone, this is Rocky from WeLearnChess.com, and this video is a follow-up to, I think it was my first post on this blog, related to the fried liver with a specific line where white plays queen f3, and I saw a new move my opponent played against me today that I hadn't thought about before, and it was kind of interesting, so I'll just show this to everybody, because I didn't make the best move in the game, as usual. So my opponent plays a fried liver, and I play the Polar defense. If you want a little more information on that, you can. I think I have some links on my first post, or you can search around online. So black sacrifices a pawn and basically destroys his queen side here, but gets some opportunities for quick development and some nice diagonals and files for his pieces. So this queen f3 line is a little bit of an alternative line. The best move actually for white is bishop d3, which is kind of fun. I have to look at that more. But a lot of times you'll see a retreat like this, and we'll get some kind of, fried liver game like this. And, this kind of position is one that can come up among many other ones. And here, obviously, black's development is starting to get pretty crazy, and white's pieces are on the back rank here, and his king's going to have a hard time getting safe. It's usually a pretty interesting game. If black can get something good with his middle game initiative, then at the very least, usually he can win the pawns back. But he's trying to go for either mate or win some decisive material, hopefully with the initiative. And white's trying to survive into an endgame, and if he can do that, he'll probably win. So that's one possible continuation. But anyway, these queen f3 lines, the idea is to try to exploit this pin here on this pawn, because the rook is hanging, so black can't take the bishop. So he has a couple ideas here. I think I showed some of these rook b8 lines where you can get a continuation like this. You block with the knight, and this does a few things at once. It opens up an attack on this knight. It unblocks the f pawn, which is probably going to want to move at some point. It keeps an eye on the e5 pawn. Right now the knight's pinned, but after the queen moves inevitably, then this knight will be protecting that. And so it's a few different things there, and obviously it blocks the check. So you might get something like this where white protects the knight, black attacks the knight again. Knight probably will go somewhere like here, castle to unpin, maybe castle. And then here you can see the point of the f pawn, where I don't know if it's the best move here, although I'd be tempted to play it for sure, to bump this knight. You also have moves like Rook B6, which is interesting, so that the rook can, swing over here. I don't know if I can make 2 arrows. Yes, I can. Look at that. Pretty cool. Okay, so I wasn't sure how to get rid of the arrows. But yeah, I can come over. Bishop E7 is interesting, but it's actually usually not as good. Although it could be an idea to get rid of this knight, but you usually want to keep the bishop pair on this nice open board with lots of open diagonals. So that's one line. But instead of playing rook b8 here, which is the one idea, you can play bishop e7 with the idea that after this same exchange, you block the check with a tempo gaining move. So usually white will drop back here with a mate threat. I'm not sure if castling's best, but I guess probably it is. And then you can play from here with similar ideas where you're trying to I'm not sure if castling's best or d3 or whatever. Probably something like rook c8, and just trying to get your pieces to good squares. So not just like kicking the queen for no reason, but trying to, like here you kind of limit the queen's options, because if he doesn't want to lose this c pawn, then he'll probably have to go to certain squares, and those might not be the best squares. Also, even rook b8 was interesting with the idea of a skewer, but that's lots of ideas here, and that's kind of what makes this position fun to play for black, is that you're always sort of looking for tactics and ways to get your pieces in place for some kind of combination, or try to go for mate, or try to win some decisive material. So those are kind of the things I covered, I think, in my first post. And here on this move, my opponent surprised me, and he didn't go for this normal combination, which we just saw, but instead he just developed. So here I was thinking, and I wasn't sure what the best move was to play, and I ended up playing bishop d7, which the idea is logical. So now my rook is no longer pinned, because these are connected, obviously. There you go. That's how you get rid of the arrows. Just click on it. And he can't take this pawn anymore, because now it's protected twice. So it seemed like a pretty good move to me. He just, dropped the bishop back, because obviously I was threatening to just take it now. and then I castled, and I think he castled, and we went on from there. But one of the things I realized with this, well, this bishop's not protected by the knight on this square on a4, and I've kind of committed my bishop to this square here, and I didn't have to do that. So the bishop might end up on d7 in some lines anyway. But I think one thing I've noticed with bishops is that you don't always want to commit them right away, because sometimes you don't know what the best diagonal is until you kind of see what your opponent is doing more. It's really hard to decide. So what the computer suggests here is just a castle. Oops, instead of playing bishop d7, just castle, because he can't really take this pawn anyway. If he takes this pawn, then you can actually play this cool move, bishop g4. And here, I mean, if he moves, he's just going to lose this, and it's probably not enough compensation. The computer gives a pretty good advantage here. I mean, he could try to play this here, where he gets a rook and a bishop and 2 pawns for the queen, which is pretty interesting. This is probably a lot more equal than just losing the piece. So, yeah, this would be an interesting game to play, and maybe not so easy for black, but yeah, hopefully black would be able to make something out of this. So we didn't get either one of these in the games. I actually can't remember exactly what happened here. I think I'm going to reload the game here just because. There we go. The game he played d3 rather than castling. So I went for this this move here, but it actually didn't turn out to be too strong. And a lot of these lines the computer's recommending knight d5, which opens up the attack on this knight. Helps you, like, if white's ever to take this this knight in the middle, then you connect your center pawns, which is a little bit nicer. And you know, it seems like you can get your pieces to better squares that way. It's what I was looking at here. But in this game, I screwed this up. I mean, none of this is really a blunder, but now my bishop's hanging, my pawn's hanging, everything's crazy. But I played for a little trap here. He can just play h3 here, kick my bishop back, and then he's doing better than I am, that's for sure. But he went for the pawn. He was probably just thinking that he could, you know, I don't know. I guess maybe he didn't see the idea. Like, maybe he thought we would get something like this. I'm not really sure. Where I would just have to, well, even take it. He probably would take with his queen, actually. Where, you know, this doesn't really look that great for me. So, but what he didn't see was that I could play bishop f6 here, and now it's basically over. So here, I mean, I guess he could. Well, he could give up the queen, or he could try something like. He could try this funny move, where black just ends up a piece up here, but he didn't move. He moved his queen somewhere. I don't know where he moved. g3. Okay. Problem is, I take this with check, and now his only possibility here is to block. And then after I take, there's all sorts of possibilities here with, you know, maybe checks and taking things. But now I guess one of my 2 pieces up. That's even worse. But I guess he just didn't see the mate at all. So he just took this, and then I was able to play a nice little mate here. And I always like when I can mate my opponent who played the fried liver, because I feel like it's justice served for playing that opening. But yeah, I mean, obviously that wasn't forced. He could have just kicked this bishop, and then I just would have had a mess of a position. Probably would have lost. So not a great game by me, but it was interesting to see this this idea here, where the best move isn't actually to protect your pawn; it's just a castle. With this idea that he's got to waste a move now with the bishop. You know, not sure where the best square is, but he can't really take this pawn just due to this idea with bishop g4. So you've got another move ahead of you, and then you can try to start to organize your pieces. So if you play these lines with, you know, as black, the polarity defense, and your opponents play queen f3, and you see this sort of development idea, you know what to do, and good luck in your games.